สัปดาห์นี้ผมได้รับเกียรติพูดคุยถึงที่ทางการเมืองไทยกับแขกคนพิเศษของเราคุณพิธาลิมเจริญรัตน์อดีตผู้นำพรรคก้าวไกลขอบคุณมากนะครับคุณพิธา
ขอบคุณครับขอบคุณที่ให้ผมมาครับ
Soon you will face a decision from the Constitutional Court that will decide your future, and you could be banned for life as well as your party dissolved. And so today, I want to talk to you about the past, the present, and the future of the current moment that you are in. That said, looking back at your campaign,
right,
considering the future as well,
right,
is there anything that you would have done differently as an MP, as a PM candidate, member of the Move Forward Party?
Professionally, no regrets, no time for regrets. Personally, I would have made sure that my health was a bit better, that I was a bit stronger. I mean, I gave it my 100%, whether it's the debates, whether it's the campaign trail, traveling almost every district in Thailand, and I gave it my all. But my health was about 6 out of 10 at the time. You know, I just came out of a surgery from my neck. You know, I had a 2-year-old, 3-year-old to take care when I started politics, so my health was not very good. Next time, now that I have some more time, if there's ever another election for me, you know, as per your questions, if I have a chance again, this time I'll make sure I have more stamina and more strong, both like physically and mentally, and also, you know, the way I do my politics.
So in terms of politics and policy, is there anything specifically that you would have done differently?
No, I think I was very honest with the situation externally and internally. You know, we were running for office for change, and as a member of parliament, you have to have that kind of linkages with the society. I think what you're trying to do, you know, if I read your mind correctly, is you are trying to go against the amendment of 112, whether I would just turn back or not. But the answer, if I'm right, is because there's a linkages to the people, and it's really the situation that happens on the streets, you know, and it's been around for many years. And back during the previous government of Kunabisit Vechachiwa, there was also an advice on Article 112 amendment. And, you know, if there's no clash, you know, between the people and the institution, then we never thought about thinking about amending it. But because of the situation back a couple of years ago on the street, that we felt like, you know, amending it was a common ground. And doing it in the parliament is the best place to do it, rather than leaving it on the streets or leaving it on social media. Okay. So we felt like it was a common ground. So if I were to return, you know, we would do the same thing, but the details might be different. I mean, now that we know that the Constitutional Court have decided what can be done and what cannot be done, I use my opportunity to explain a couple of things in terms of the details now to the court, you know, why we need to reduce the minimum sentence, or why we have to have an accountable organization to file for the case, rather than made it into a freedom of whoever files for it. And we explain the situation. In short, it's for proportionality of law. You know, if there's an infringement of freedom, the penalty should be proportionate to it. And I think that's the best way to keep Thailand a constitutional monarchy going forward sustainably.
So also speaking of your past and the decision making with regards to the political decision making in terms of like when you were an MP and when you were campaigning, I'm curious about your education in America. You attended Harvard, and there's a lot of people who believe that perhaps there is some influence from the American education that you had on your political or even personal decision making. The time living in America, how was that for you, and has it influenced your business here?
The question is on point with many of the establishment here in Thailand, the conservatives. They're thinking I'm too Americanized. They're thinking I'm product of CIA. They're thinking that my Harvard education was funded by CIA, which apparently is absurd. None of that is true. First of all, the class was about 50-50, 50% Americans and 50% international students. So in all the classroom, it cannot be monopolized just by American thinking. They have various nationalities, from various race, various classes. Some of them are private wealth or investment banker from Italy, and one survived genocide from Rwanda, for example. So when we talk about poverty, when we talk about inequality, it's not just going to be, just based on American views or anything like that. But the question asked about the influence I had, because when I was in America a couple of times, first time was in Texas. That was when Bush was going against Al Gore. And the second time was when Obama was going against campaign. So it's the campaign management of things, what phone booth is for, why you have to have this kind of volunteer management inside the organization, and campaign finance with the lobbyists and things like that. So I went with Bernie Sanders, average donation of $15 to make sure I have the autonomy in terms of policy making and speaking up my mind. So that's how Move Forward Party, in terms of campaign management and election management, was very much based on my textbook back at Harvard, and I turned it into reality here, precision politics. I mean, if we go through this route, I know exactly which roof is yellow, which roof is green, and which roof is red. Meaning, if it's green, then they would vote for me. I need to show up once and then explain to them what I'm trying to do. Yellow is swing votes. So it's very much like American style politics. But apart from that, in terms of thinking, in terms of domestic policy, in terms of foreign policy, hey, my last name is Lim. It's as Chinese as it gets. So, it has to be a balance between the Sino and American rivalry. And foreign policy is not a buffet. It's not like if I'm in the Chinese camp, everything is correct. Or if I'm in the American camp, everything is correct. It has to be an a la carte of whichever policy is of mutual benefit of both the American people or the Thai people, or the Chinese people and the Chinese people and the Thai people.
The outcome was not what you and many people had hoped for. Mm-hmm. The Move Forward Party tried to make a coalition with Pheu Thai Party, who's now leading the government. I'm wondering if there's any areas of commonalities still, or areas of difference that you would like to discuss. Where are the common areas, and where are they not currently?
Marriage equality, labor rights, indigenous rights. So these are the top three agenda-based, whether you're in government or you're opposition, that you could actually pass progressive laws that were initiated by us. I mean, if it's marriage equality, it's going to pass the upper house also. So it will be the first time in Southeast Asia, that's for sure. Maybe number 2 or number 3 in Asia after Taiwan and Nepal, that same-sex marriage is possible. The right to love, the right to grow a family, the right to decide, in their sick times of all the partners all around Thailand, will be real and it will be true. The labor rights and indigenous rights passed just the first hearing, so there's a couple more work to do. But here are some examples of the common areas that we could work with. While there are some, of course, some differences in a couple of areas, important things, such as the military reform, just as the constitutional amendment. These are the two things that before the election we were the same. I mean, if we were sitting next to each other in debates, I think our answers were most aligned. But then after the election, we went separate ways. So we still have a lot of work to do to have some more consensus, building on those 2-3 important things that we still couldn't, look at each other face to face.
Those are many hot button issues that you just talked about: LGBT, labor, indigenous rights, and also you had briefly mentioned 112 before. I'm curious to know, do you feel that the country in general is becoming more divided? The population and society, are these issues causing people to dislike each other?
With the election results, I think one could assume that it was pretty much a consensus that they want change.